Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of the Susan B. Anthony $1 coin. An iconic US coin with a powerful design, rich American history, and some truly shocking hidden treasures. In this video, we explore the top 3 most valuable and ultra-rare Susan B. Anthony dollar coins, including rare mint-mark varieties from P, D, and S, special strikes, unusual color shade coins, and error examples that collectors and investors are searching for today. Even Susan B. Anthony dollars that look ordinary, worn, toned, or dirty can be worth thousands of dollars, and in extremely rare cases, even millions, depending on the year, mint mark, and condition. Let's get started. First up, 1. The 1979 P. Susan B. Anthony dollar is one of those coins that looks ordinary at first glance. A small round piece of metal most people would toss into a jar or spend without a second thought. But there's a secret hidden beneath that weathered surface, a quiet power that only reveals itself when you begin to understand the coin's history, its journey through time, and the rare survivors that remain untouched. This coin spent decades in circulation, jostling in pockets, rattling in cash registers, and lying forgotten in drawers, and every mark, scrape, and layer of grime carries a fragment of a story that most people overlook. What makes a coin like this so compelling is not what's on the surface, but what's beneath it, a silent legacy of survival in a world where most coins were simply used and forgotten. In 1979, when the United States Mint produced the first Susan B. Anthony dollars, the intention was to create a modern circulating dollar coin, something people could use in everyday transactions without reaching for paper bills. Named after the pioneering suffragette whose face graced the obverse, the coin was meant to honor her legacy and mingle with dimes, quarters, and nickels in everyday commerce. Unfortunately, many people found its size and color confusing, often mistaking it for a quarter or simply refusing to use it. That very resistance to adoption meant most of these coins never lived up to their intended purpose of widespread circulation, but they did travel through real life in unpredictable ways. A 1979 P dollar in dirty condition, covered in the patina of time, darkened by years in circulation, and layered with the residue of countless hands, is not flawed. It's authentic. Those marks are the coin's scars of survival. They tell you that this coin lived a life, that it was touched by moments ordinary and extraordinary alike. A coin that has been cleaned or polished loses much of that intimate, lived-in character. But a dirty coin, one that still bears the evidence of real human use, carries history in its very surface, like a faded photograph that has quietly witnessed decades of lived experience. What makes this coin even more fascinating is the way metal changes over time. Though not made of silver, a Susan B. Anthony dollar can develop a faint sheen beneath layers of grime that seems almost silvery to the casual eye. This delicate, muted glow is not precious metal, but it has a mysterious beauty, a hint of depth beneath the dirt that invites closer inspection. That glint under the shadow of wear is what draws collectors to coins like this, the sense that something ordinary might hide something extraordinary. Collectors often talk about original surfaces. That phrase matters because it means the coin has never been altered. No cleaning, no polishing, no artificial enhancement. A dirty 1979 P dollar with its original surface intact is like finding an old letter that was never opened, a photograph that was never touched. It carries truth. And in the world of numismatics, authenticity is far more powerful than superficial beauty. A coin scrubbed to a shine may attract the eye for a moment, but a coin that bears its history proudly, unwiped, unwashed, unfiltered, attracts the soul. Imagine the countless hands that touched this coin in its lifetime. A commuter paying for lunch, a cashier handing it back with spare change, a child dropping it into a piggy bank, a jar in someone's kitchen collecting coins for years. Each of those interactions left imperceptible tiny marks on the surface, the subtlest of impressions that only time could make. Those marks become the coin's fingerprints of life. To someone who truly appreciates coins, they are far more precious than a mint-fresh example stored in glass. The P mint mark tells a significant part of the coin's story. It indicates that this piece was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the heart of the nation's coin production. Philadelphia pieces were released directly into circulation, not into special collector sets. That means the coins that remain today, especially those with untouched surfaces, were not preserved for posterity. They survived through use, by chance, and by quiet resilience. That combination of everyday use and survival against the odds is what gives this coin its emotional power. Collectors pay attention to the way light plays on a worn surface. The worn grooves of the lettering, the soft outline of Lady Liberty's face, the faded rim. Every softened detail is proof that this coin has lived. There's a quiet dignity in that wear, a rich tapestry of existence that polished coins lack. It's as though this coin knows something the shiny ones don't. The real story is in the journey, not the display. And then there's the mystery, the uncharted potential that lies beneath the grime. Dirty coins are like sealed envelopes. You can't know their full worth until you explore them carefully. Some coins from this era hide die variations, unusual strikes, or subtle anomalies in planchet composition that most people never notice. These are the things that make a coin valuable beyond face value. Not the number stamped on it, but the rare twist in its manufacture or survival that sets it apart from the millions that were made. Stories abound in the coin-collecting world of seemingly ordinary coins found in old jars, collections, passed-down drawers, and forgotten wallets that turn out to be worth far more than anyone expected. When someone first realizes that the worn, dirty coin in their hand might be valuable, there is a moment of euphoria, a shift from seeing the coin as trash to recognizing it as treasure. That emotional twist is part of what makes coins like the 1979 P. Susan B. Anthony dollar so compelling. They teach us that value is not always obvious, and that history often hides in the most overlooked places. If you ever find a 1979 P dollar in dirty condition, crusted with age, imbued with the patina of decades, don't dismiss it. Don't spend it at a low price. Take a moment to look closely at the date, feel the worn texture under your fingertip, and imagine its path through time. That humble coin may hold more than just metal. It may hold a connection to the past, a tiny relic of ordinary life, waiting to reveal its full value. In fact, coins that have survived real circulation with original surfaces intact often become the ones collectors prize most. They stand as reminders not only of monetary history, but of everyday life. They are bridges to a time when coins were not objects to be saved, but parts of life to be used. And when a coin like this, so unpretentious, so lived in, so rich with quiet existence, is recognized for its rarity and story, its value can reach astonishing heights. So if you ever find yourself holding a 1979 P. Susan B. Anthony dollar that looks worn and dirty, take a deep breath and don't dismiss it. Let its surface speak to you. Let its imperfections tell you its story. Because in the world of coins, sometimes the most unassuming objects carry the greatest secrets, and the power to change a life overnight. Next up, the 1999 P. Susan B. Anthony dollar is one of those coins that looks ordinary. At first glance, nothing more than loose change rattling in a jar, yet it holds within it a hidden life story, a quiet pulse of history that most people never realize. Its surface may be worn and dirty from years of passing through pockets, cash registers, and wallets, but beneath that grime is the potential for something extraordinary. While the world saw it simply as a $1 coin, there are whispers in the coin-collecting community that certain survivors from this year, especially ones that remained untouched and uncleaned, have far greater tales to tell. Tales of survival, rarity, and value that could change a life overnight. Back in 1999, the United States Mint struck millions of Susan B. Anthony dollars. At the time, most people barely gave them a second thought. Too small to feel special, too easy to confuse with a quarter, they circulated unfettered, earning their keep in the everyday grind of commerce. Grocery stores, laundromats, bus fares, and fountain drinks. This was currency of the people. But that everyday use is exactly what makes rare examples so fascinating today. Most of the coins from this era were worn down, lost, or merged into the indistinguishable slurry of circulating change. The few that survived with original surfaces still hidden under dirt are like snapshots of a moment in time that somehow escaped destruction. Dirty condition might seem like a drawback to a casual observer, but to the seasoned collector it's a badge of authenticity. Those gritty layers, the tiny flecks of residue, the faint shadows and subtle discolorations, these aren't imperfections to fear, they're proof of life. Every speck of grime, every nudge of wear, is a footprint of time. A Susan B. Anthony dollar that has survived the chaos of real use without being scrubbed clean is carrying evidence of every hand that ever held it, every transaction it ever made, every moment in history it bore quietly over the years. There's something almost spiritual about a coin like this, not because it is precious metal, but because it has lived. When you hold it, you hold the story of ordinary Americans at the turn of the millennium. You hold the echoes of conversations, the echoes of everyday choices, lunch counters and bus rides, payphones and tipping. That worn surface is the imprint of countless tiny moments that nobody ever recorded, yet they all add substance to its silent legacy. The reason collectors go wild for coins like this is because rarity in numismatics isn't always about low mintage numbers. Sometimes it's about survival rates. Millions of these coins were released, but how many of them remained buried, untouched, or forgotten for decades? Those that did survive untouched became rarer with every year that passed. When coin collectors talk about a dirty coin with original surfaces, they mean one that has never been cleaned or polished, that has never had its history scrubbed off. That kind of originality is incredibly difficult to find and hugely valuable in the coin world. One of the most intriguing aspects of this worn, dirty coin is the way metal ages. Although the Susan B. Anthony dollar is not a silver coin, decades of oxidation and environmental interaction can give it visual tones that seem almost silvery beneath the layers of dirt and patina. It's not precious metal, but in the right light, that subtle sheen that peeks through gives collectors goosebumps, a hint of hidden depth beneath the grime, a whisper of something rare waiting to be discovered. The P mint mark for Philadelphia is another piece of this coin's identity puzzle. Philadelphia struck these coins for circulation, not merely for proof sets or collectors. That means the ones that survived were not tucked safely away in albums. They lived real lives. They were spent, exchanged, forgotten, rediscovered, and sometimes discarded again. The fact that any survive today in original, untouched condition is remarkable in itself. These are coins that were never intended to be kept, yet some were, purely by coincidence, by accident, or by fate. Think about the paths this coin might have traveled. It might have bought bubblegum at a corner store, paid for a soda at a drive-in, or jingled quietly in someone's purse as they went about their day. Maybe it was saved for a vacation, or maybe it was tossed into a jar to be forgotten. Each of those possibilities, mundane as they seem, adds to the mystique. In a world where coins are easily replaced and forgotten, a piece that survived those transitions has already beaten the odds. In the numismatic community, value is not just about age or metal, it's about story and scarcity. A coin that has survived with original surfaces, even if dirty and worn, is a coin that has retained its truth. It hasn't been stripped of its character by cleaning or polishing. It bears the marks of genuine existence. And that realness, that honesty of age, is what can make such a coin far more valuable than its denomination suggests. Imagine the thrill of discovering this coin in a dusty change drawer or old coin stash. At first it looks like just another dollar. But then a collector's eye catches something, a depth in the toning, a certain texture that honest age creates, a glint beneath the dirt that sparks curiosity. That's the moment when a seemingly ordinary object becomes extraordinary. That's when a coin stops being pocket change and starts being a potential key to wealth and history. Some of the most valuable coin finds in history came from exactly these moments. Coins pulled out of daily life without warning, revealing hidden value that no one expected. And in the world of coins, when rarity meets demand, prices don't just gradually increase, they explode. A coin with this kind of backstory, original surfaces, and decades of unpolished grit can fetch figures most people would never imagine. So if you ever find a worn, dirty 1999 Susan B. Anthony dollar, don't be too quick to toss it in the tray or spend it at face value. Take a moment. Look closely. Feel the texture. Let the history of those subtle marks speak to you. Because in a world obsessed with instant beauty and shine, it's often the quiet survivors that carry the greatest stories, and the greatest rewards for the person who knows how to see them. Next up, the 1979 D. Susan B. Anthony dollar is one of those coins that most people sweep aside without a second thought. A small, round piece of metal that once jingled through people's pockets, wallets, cash registers, and Jared collections without ever asking for attention. But beneath that dusty surface, in the deep shadows of decades of use, lies a story far richer than most people realize. To the untrained eye it looks ordinary, perhaps even ugly, scarred by time and smeared with grime. Yet for those who know the language of coins, the whisper of history written in tiny scratches and the soft glow beneath years of dirt, this humble coin can become a revelation, a treasure, and even a doorway to unimaginable fortune. When this coin was struck at the Denver Mint in 1979, no one expected it to become a collector's obsession. Millions were produced, intended for everyday life. They were never meant for velvet display cases or glass protective covers. Instead, they were released into the heart of American commerce, where they bought everything from coffee to movie tickets, bus rides to sandwiches. But there was a problem. Most people didn't want to use them. Their size was odd, their look unfamiliar, and many simply looked at them as inconvenient change. The kind of thing you drop into a drawer and forget about. That forgetfulness became the unsuspected gift to future collectors. While most of these coins were quietly ignored, some were tucked into jars, misplaced in drawers, or bundled into rolls and left untouched for years. The result? A surprising number of original 1979 D. Susan B. Anthony dollars survived the modern world not because they were prized, but because they were overlooked. And coins that survive untouched by cleaning chemicals, untouched by polishing cloths, untouched by eager hands trying to improve them, are the ones that spark real excitement among coin enthusiasts. Dirty condition isn't a flaw here. It's a testament. Every smudge, every bit of grime, every tiny darkened patch preserved under layers of everyday residue is proof that this coin lived a life. It wasn't rescued from circulation. It came back from circulation. That gritty surface tells you that this coin wasn't polished to impress. It earned every mark honestly. And in the coin world, honesty is more valuable than perfection. Imagine the hands that passed this coin over the years. A waitress handling bills in the 1980s, a kid paying for candy at a corner store, a commuter tipping a bus driver, someone dropping it into a jar for savings, and forgetting all about it. Each person left a tiny trace, a microscopic fingerprint of history that no scrubbed clean surface could ever replicate. The history of this coin isn't written in words. It's written in texture, in wear, in the very way light catches its surface. The Denver mint mark, the little D's stamped on the coin, adds a crucial layer to its story. It tells us where this coin was born. Philadelphia and Denver were the major mints producing circulation coins in this era, but each mint had its quirks, its personalities in striking quality, its unique surviving populations. The Denver strikes from 1979, especially those that remained in dirty, untouched condition, are far rarer today than many people assume. Many were lost, melted, discarded, worn flat by decades of handling until their date vanished. So when one survives with its date and mint mark still legible beneath the grime, it is something remarkable. Now picture the thrill of discovering such a coin in a pile of old change, or hidden in a dusty drawer. At first, it just looks like another forgotten dollar. But as you hold it, flip it, and feel the weight of time on its surface, something stirs. Your eyes trace the worn edges of Susan B. Anthony's profile, the softened details of her hair, and then, if you're lucky, you hold it up to the light and catch something unexpected. A glint. Not a mirror shine, not a flashy reflection, but a hidden depth beneath the years of wear, a soft shimmer that hints at something precious beneath the ordinary. That is the moment the coin begins to tell you its deeper story, the moment you realize this is not just pocket change, but a survivor. And the real magic of coins like this is that their power lies not in metal content. This isn't a silver dollar after all, but in survival, rarity, and emotional resonance. Rare coins aren't valuable because they're ancient. They're valuable because so few examples remain in a particular state of existence. A coin that never saw aggressive circulation, that retained its original surface beneath decades of grime, that was forgotten instead of polished, that coin becomes rare by virtue of what almost happened to it but didn't. And rarity, combined with demand, is what skyrockets value. In the coin collecting community, stories of astonishing finds are legendary. Jars of forgotten change yielding coins worth more than entire life savings, dusty boxes discovered in attics revealing treasures long overlooked, casual spills of coins on a table turning into moments of shock and elation. And many of those stories began with coins that looked just like this. Dirty, dull, unimpressive at first glance. It's the hidden history, the unpolished surface, the soul of time itself embedded in the metal that makes collectors sit up and take notice. Most people see silver and think, valuable metal. But in numismatics, the real value often lies in survival and story, in authenticity and the ability to connect us to real human experience. A coin that was used, forgotten, rediscovered, that tells a genuine story of decades, can be worth far more than one that was locked away in a safe from day one. That's why dirty condition can be a blessing in disguise. It confirms that the coin lived a real life. So if you ever find a worn, dirty 1979 D. Susan B. Anthony dollar in your pocket change, in a jar, or in an old box, don't rush to spend it. Don't assume it's worth only its face value. Take a moment to look closely, not at what it looks like at first, but at what it has lived through. Let your fingers feel the texture, your eyes track the worn details, your imagination fill in the decades it has endured. Because beneath that layer of grime could lie something remarkable, a piece of history that survived against the odds, and a coin that might just change your fortune faster than you ever imagined. In the end, the 1979 D. Susan B. Anthony dollar is not just a coin. It is a memory of time, endurance, and chance, a whisper from the past that can still speak loudly today. It reminds us that sometimes the most valuable treasures are the ones we overlook most easily. It reminds us that real value is not always shiny, new, or polished. It is honest, lived, and hidden just beneath the surface, waiting for someone patient enough to discover it.